Greetings everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Dr. Loquitur Maka, and if you are new to this channel, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss anything that I post here. To my returning family, welcome back. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the love. Guys, your support means everything to me, and I'm so glad we are in this journey together. So in our last video, we talked about designing your research, but before you even get to that part, there is a crucial first step: writing a research proposal. In some institutions, this is needed before you apply or during the application process, but in some institutions it's required once they have accepted you. So either way, I just want us to talk about your research proposal. Think about it as like your blueprint or a roadmap for your entire research project. Before you dive into gathering data or conducting experiments, you need to map out what you want to study, how you will study it, and why it matters. Those three: what, how, and why. It's very important, guys. Now, don't worry if this idea feels overwhelming. Like I have been saying in the past 30 videos, when it comes to research, I am trying to break it down step by step and just simplify it, show you how to make it easy and clear, even if you are new to research. So what is a research proposal? Okay, let's start with the basics. A research proposal is a detailed plan that explains your research idea and how you plan to carry it out. So it's more of your way of saying, here's what I want to study, here's why it matters, and here's how I'm going to do it. So basically that's it. So think of it like a game plan for your research project. It's the blueprint for everything that comes after that. So in your proposal, you are answering the three big questions that I spoke about. What are you researching? Why is it important? And how are you going to do it? If you are able to do that, then you would have mastered your research proposal. Now let's break it down into sessions. Now don't worry, I'm sure I'll make sure that I make it super clear. I want us to go through each section of your research proposal, also with examples. So now, the first thing that will be required on this document, usually a research proposal is quite a really short document, guys, because you're still proposing. It's a proposal, right? So the first thing that you will need on your research proposal is your title. Now your title should be clear and specific. It tells the reader what your research is about. So please keep it brief but also descriptive. So I'm gonna post an example, but while I do that, I also want you to think of your own research title, right? Then the second thing that you want to have, or that you're gonna have, it's a must, guys. It's your introduction as well as the background. So in this section now, you explain what you are researching and why is it important. Now, this is your chance to actually get the reader interested in your work. So let's say your title is the impact of social media on, I'm going to use my institution, the University of Free State students' academic performance. Now, a study across all 3 campuses, right? Now, you can see that title is quite short, it's quite brief. So we are trying to look at the impact of social media on students' academic performance, right? Now, on your background, it's up to you how you structure it, and also based on the literature that you go about. Someone will actually start by explaining what social media is and the kind of role it plays in people's lives, and then proceed to explaining the role it has in students' lives, and also maybe touch on the growing concern or the concern over the effects it has on academic performance. Now, what is important with those statements, as much as this is a background, it's also, because this is research, guys, it's also coupled by literature. So if you are saying social media plays an important role in students' lives, you need to back that up with literature. And also, if, let's say, okay, that sentence was not complete, right? It can be complete, but maybe you want to extend it further. Say, social media plays an integral role in students' lives, but there is a growing concern over its effects on academic performance. Now, you need to find literature that supports those 2 statements, right? And maybe you fit that in. You talk about social media, you talk about academic performance and the factors that influence academic performance and all of that and stuff like that. It depends on how you're going to structure your introduction. There are a lot of sources that can tell you how you structure your introduction, right? But now, as I told you, that this is your chance to actually get the reader to be interested in your work. Now you also need to tell us, or to explain to us, why is this important, right? Tell us, what is it on the background? What is it that you will be looking at? So this research will explore how social media usage among students at the University of the Free State influence their study habits and academic outcomes across Bloemfontein, Qwaqwa, and South campuses. Those are the 3 campuses in at the University of the Free State, for example. Like I said, I'm just using the University of the Free State as an example, right? And again, someone may also want to give a brief about the university itself, where these campuses are located and stuff like that, the impact social media has on the different geographic areas. You know, there is a lot. You can structure it in different ways. It's really entirely up to you. Then the third thing that you want to look at is either your research questions or hypothesis. Right now, you need to be clear what you're trying to find out. One thing I always say is, before you think of your research, this is actually the first thing you have to think about. Your research question should be the guiding tool. It should guide your topic. It should guide your introduction. It should actually guide everything. It should guide those 3 major questions that we are talking about. Now, with the research question or your hypothesis, this is where you need to be clear what you're trying to find out. You can either pose research questions or make a hypothesis, which is more like an educated guess about the outcome, right? Now, if you were to ask a research question on this, you would basically ask, how does social media use impact the academic performance of students at the University of the Free State? Apologies, guys, to the University of the Free State for using its name. But I'm making examples, and it's my alma mater. I'm the ambassador, unofficial ambassador, and yeah, one of my faves. So anyway, no peace. But I'm using the name for the good. Anyway, okay, let me have some water. Now, if you are posing a hypothesis or making a hypothesis, now you can say maybe students who spend dash hours a day on social media will have lower academic performance, or you will say will have higher academic performance, those compared to those who spend less time on social media. Now, that is your guess. You're saying, let's say, students who spend 3 hours or 4 hours will have lower academic performance, or those that spend 30 hours will have higher academic performance as compared to these ones, right? It's up to you how you structure your hypothesis. But again, you don't just guess, right? This is also, it's always better to be backed up by literature, why you think that is the case, or why you are making that hypothesis, right? Then the fourth thing, guys, literature review. I have a video that I have posted a few weeks back that simplifies what is needed on your literature review. So if you haven't checked it out, please, after this one, go there, right? Now, this is actually where you now show that you've done your homework. Now, you are going to summarize what other researchers have found on the topic. Right, like I'm saying, before you make your hypothesis, it's always best to conduct a literature review. This is one of the things that I always say, guys. This is one of the things I always say. Once you have your research question, then you draft your topic, then do your literature review. Don't think about other things. First, find out. If it's not a literature review, then do a bibliometric analysis so that you can find the trends, the publication patterns. What is being said about this topic? Now, having a literature review on your proposal will show that your research is grounded in existing knowledge. Right. Now, again, it's very important when it comes to citing literature. Find as many sources as you can. If you're a University of the Free State student or even an employee that is studying, you have free access to literature sources. Our library has got thousands of sources, databases that you can access free of charge. You don't have to pay. There is licenses that the institution has that will help you to retrieve this literature. Right. Then the fifth thing is your methodology. Right. Now, the methodology part will also take you back now to the research design that I spoke about on the last session that we had. Now, this part actually explains how you are going to do your research. Are you going to use surveys? Are you going to conduct interviews? Are you going to do experiments? So you need to be specific how you are going to collect your data. Right? If you're going to administer a survey, let's say to 200 students, you need to be specific that I'm going to do it to 200 students or 300 students from 3 different campuses, and this survey will include maybe questions about time that is spent on social media, about their scores, or average, basically average of their scores. And then you will also mention how you're gonna analyze your data. And for instance, in this case, it's one thing that can work, or one method that can work best, is doing or using correlation tests to identify any relationship between social media usage and academic achievement, right? And obviously, maybe other students may not know their grade points, grade point average by head, but again, it depends on how you are going to structure your research. And then the other important part on your proposal is the timeline, right? Now here, this is where you actually outline how long your research will take and the steps that you are going to follow. And this shows that you have a clear plan for completing the project. We don't want you guys to do an honors project or master's project for 3 years or 4 years. I'm not saying it's wrong, but you need to structure it properly. Then if life happens, then life happens. But you cannot plan it to do a master's for 4 years. So you need to properly outline everything. For instance, month 1, this is what I'm going to do. Month 2, this is what I'm going to do. Month 3, I'm going to do this and that and that and that. Starting with your proposal, you can say, okay, the first month I'm drafting my proposal, second month defending proposal, third month maybe refining your data collection tools and all of that, fourth month developing and distributing surveys to students, and then maybe that can take 2 months, I don't know, or just 1 month. Then on the other month you collect responses, other month you analyze your data, you clean and analyze your data, other month you finalize your data analysis, the other month you write your research report, or maybe the other month you conduct your literature review and stuff like that. We're gonna get to all of that, and you are going to see, guys, you will see this. The minute we are done with this series, with this research series, everything is gonna make sense. Everything is gonna come together and help you write that perfect research proposal. It will help you to be able to defend your study, because this is your study. You need to own your study. It's yours. It's yours, and no one should tell you otherwise. The other important aspect that is required on your research proposal are the expected outcomes. What do you expect to find from your research? Now, this, guys, this doesn't have to be a hard conclusion. It's more about what you think the results might show, based on your research question or hypothesis. And this is also backed up by the evidence or the literature that you have conducted. So you mentioned that, okay, I expect to find that students who spend these hours will report higher academic performance or lower academic performance compared to those who spend less time online, right? That's it. But again, explore different avenues. For example, now, other people use social media for studying. Things have changed. One can spend more time on social media, but they have higher grades because they use social media for something else. Right? So make sure that you do your research thoroughly, and a lot has changed post-pandemic. So try and explore all avenues. Now, another important part is your budget. Now, this is if it's applicable. Now, if your research requires funding, for example, things like travel, things like printing papers, things like compensating participants, you will need a budget. Make your estimates. Obviously, if you are collecting data across all 3 campuses, you are going to need to travel unless you are going to collect the data online. So if you are meeting the students face to face, then you will need that budget. But if you are sending through an email, then you don't necessarily need much budget, right? Finally, make sure, guys, have your references in order. Include a list of all the sources you have referred to while writing your proposal. Now, this shows that your research is built on credible information. One thing I always say is that even your methodology, every section of your research must be backed up by citation. All right. So before we close this off, here are a few tips that I want you to take with. It's just for as you are writing this proposal. Here's what I want you to do to make sure that your research proposal stands out. Be clear and simple, guys. Avoid using too much jargon. Explain your ideas in a way that anyone can understand, even if they are not experts in your field. This is one thing I always say. Even if people are not experts in this field, make sure that you explain the ideas in such a way that they make sense. Number 2, stay focused. Your research topic should be clear and specific. Don't try to cover too much. Because, for example, instead of just saying, I want to study social media, you say, I want to study how Facebook, how Instagram, how TikTok can affect academic focus. Now, that is social media. Don't write a long sentence or a long topic. Don't have a long topic. It must be clear. It must be short and straight to the point. Now, be detailed with your methods. Do not, guys, do not leave the reader guessing about how you are going to collect data. No, explain each step of your research process clearly. Explain it clearly. Do not leave us guessing. Okay, maybe Loquitur is going to choose this method. No, people don't want to hear that. And one thing I always say, guys, in research, pretend as if people, like everyone, don't know what you're talking about. So explain it in that manner. Be detailed in that manner. Then the 4th and last tip, show why your research matters. Make it clear why it is important. What gap in existing knowledge are you willing or trying to find out? What difference will your research make? Guys, writing a research proposal may feel like a big task, but remember, it is the foundation of your research project. It helps you plan your work and it guides you through this process. So take time when you are conducting or when you are writing this proposal. This can make or break you. But also, I mentioned in the last video, but that in research, always be willing to be flexible because things change, circumstances change, and one thing, you may plan this on your proposal, but then it changes at the later stage. But again, you need to record that. You need to mention that. All right. That's it for this video. And guys, if you have found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and drop a comment with either questions or I'm trying guys for you. I'm trying to help you. Anything that you want to say, and also if you have questions on writing proposals, please write that down. I'm sure I will try by all means to respond as soon as possible. Please do not forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and also please guys click on that notification bell so that you don't miss the next episodes. Thank you very much for joining me today, and as I always say when it comes to research, remember, stay curious, stay inspired, and I'm gonna see you in the next